Hey, welcome to this presentation about 5 simple protocols to triple your productivity overnight, if not much more. My name is Castillo, CEO and founder of Selfmastered, which is a peak performance academy for founders. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever hit the end of the day and felt like you've accomplished nothing? Felt like 24 hours a day is just not enough to achieve your goals? And are you willing to grow your business but also having time to enjoy the simpler things in life? If so, you are in the right place, because I'm going to give you 5 simple protocols that will guarantee your productivity and business results will explode. And I know that because they've worked for hundreds of my clients, from budding entrepreneurs to busy executives to 9-figure CEOs, from all walks of life, from all ages. They just simply work because they're based on actual research. And I guarantee they will work for you starting today. Now, these are the 5 simple protocols. 1, we're going to talk about leverage mastery, then how to maximize your own natural energy, how to remove distractions, how to remove procrastination, and how to become 1% better every single day. But before we go into the 5 protocols, I want you to understand why they work, because the current productivity paradigm does not work. It is fundamentally broken. And I want you to think of winning in business like winning a race, right? You need 2 things. One is a winning car or company, and also a winning driver or founder. Just as the driver's performance affects the results of the car, your performance as a founder affects and limits your business results. So your performance matters, not your productivity. Your productivity is a consequence of your performance. The problem is that you've never been told to perform, just to work harder, to be more productive, disregarding the fact that you are a biological machine that has to be optimized, taking into account who you truly are. Which is why the average productivity advice that says work hard, never be at work, quantity over quality, just do more volume, grind, hustle, nobody cares, work harder, 80 hours work week, that only leads to slow growth and poor, stressed out funders. Endless hustle and grind leads to mediocre results, anxiety, and burnout. If you only focus on productivity, you will be very little productive. The solution to this is to change the paradigm and start thinking in terms of performance, which leads to making different choices if you truly want to become more productive. Because elite performers work less, but they prioritize hard. They're not focused on never being outworked, but on never being outcompeted. They don't care as much about quantity as they care about quality. They don't really look into volume, they look into leverage. They're not in the business of grinding, but in the business of performing. They protect their energy, attention, and focus above all. And they're concentrated on becoming 1% better every day, which leads to 30-hour work weeks, fast growth, and wealthy Zen-like founders. You got to understand that the 5 protocols that we're going to be sharing truly are based on the peak performance paradigm, which is a fundamental improvement over the prototypical productivity paradigm. And the sooner you learn to unlock your peak performance, the faster your business will grow. And I'm not the only one who says this. We have been proving it over many years with hundreds of founders, but already McKinsey, the consulting company, in 2012 realized that in what they call very highly complex occupation, which is how they call business, the difference between average and high performers was 800% in terms of productivity. Right? So if you truly unlock your peak performance, your life will never be the same anymore. But most never really unlock it. Most never really care about optimizing their self, their mind, their body, and how they show up every day for maximum results. Which is why 40% of entrepreneurs never get 30 minutes straight of focused time in a workday. The average entrepreneur checks in on email or instant messaging every 6 minutes. And about 72% of the average workday is wasted due to distractions. About 9 out of 10 people procrastinate 2 hours a day. About 3 out of 4 experience burnout or work-derived stress. And only 6% of entrepreneurs achieve their goals. And this is not because they're not working hard. This is not because they're not committed. This is not because they don't have the willingness to succeed. This is because they haven't learned how to perform at their peak. Which is why performing at your peak is the most important thing you will ever learn. And these simple protocols are based upon the fact that we need to dive deeper into the machine, into who you are, in order to truly make you more productive. Because working harder is not the solution for productivity. In fact, it's working less, maximizing your energy, removing distractions, destroying procrastination, and getting the data that will guarantee you become 1% better every day. So, leverage mastery protocol. First protocol. So, first, let's redefine what productivity is, because productivity is nothing else than a ratio between input cost and output value. The higher the output per unit of input, the higher the productivity. And you increase productivity by getting more output per unit of input, right? More things done per hour. But the easiest way to maximize your productivity is to reduce the hours worked for the same output. So less input leads to higher productivity if the output remains context. And this makes sense because if you think about it, hours worked can be a determinant factor in success because time is fixed. Yet people experience wild disparity in results through their life, even if we all get 24 hours per day. And as an example, Elon Musk is the CEO, president of 5 companies: SpaceX, Tesla, Twitter, Neuralink, and XAI. And how is he able to do this and run them successfully? Through the key concept of leverage. Leverage is whatever minimizes the inputs of the productivity equation while maximizing the output. Leverage allows Elon to manage those 5 companies successfully in under 24 hours a day. And he has achieved this wild level of productivity by defining what needs to be done in each company, standardizing best practices, using code or robots to automate processes, and delegating in other smart people. Which leads me to the Leverage Mastery Protocol, or DSAD protocol, as I call it, which is a protocol you'll now employ to define, standardize, and automate, delegate every process in your company. If applied consistently, this protocol alone can 100x your productivity, right? If you have the same amount of output, but you do not work on it, you have robots or code or people that are doing it for you, your personal productivity skyrockets. And the protocol is very simple. First, you gotta define with precision what needs to be done. Then you need to understand what is the best way of doing it, right? Create a standard operating procedure of the process. Be exhaustive. And this is very important because I see a lot of folks defining a process and creating standard operating procedures that don't really reflect what excellence at the task or process really means, right? So first we define what the outcome is, then we define what the process is with precision and excellence. Then we try to automate it. If there's softwares or robots that can perform the task automatically. And if we cannot do that, then we will find someone who we can delegate it to. If you run this loop every day, you will over time do less and less, but get more and more results. This is the #1 protocol you should be deploying in your day-to-day, the Leverage Mastery Protocol. And elite performance in business over time ascend the leverage ladder and only work on the highest leverage tasks that bring the most value to their business. Everything else gets automated or delegated. So as a rule of thumb, the harder something is to accomplish, the more valuable it is, right? So in the end, in your business, it doesn't matter what level you're at, you should be on the highest levels of the ladder and have employees or robots that can do the lower level work. The more you run this protocol, the better your business will run. Now, energy maximization protocol. This is very important. You are not a machine. Your body rhythms are broken into 90-minute cycles. And these 90-minute cycles are called sleep cycles at night. But the cadence continues throughout the day and governs your focus and cycles even during waking hours. And after 90 minutes of intense focus, there's a drop in our ability to focus on hard things. Why is this relevant? Well, if you're focused on working hard as much as you can without taking into consideration that you have a natural built-in 90-minute cycle cadence, you will burn out, because trying to fight these natural cycles will spike up your cortisol hormones. So you got to learn how to surf the waves of your own chronobiology. And the absolute best way of maximizing your ability to show up and deliver every day is by a protocol that I call ring fencing. I invented a few years ago. In essence, is that you take into account the neurobiological inevitability that is that you have a 90-minute cycle embedded within your day to work undistracted for 90 minutes. And on top of that, you give yourself one clear objective per 90-minute work session, and you also time yourself. So you are seeing on the timer how much time left you have to finish the task. And this simple protocol, 90-minute work block without distractions, with a clear objective and a timer, will skyrocket your productivity and performance, because first, it's going to create artificial deadlines within your day, which motivates you. It will shorten the feedback loop on your performance at a fast rate, so you will understand how good you are at that specific task and how can you become better. And also give you faster feedback on how energetic you feel or how well you are feeling. And if you consistently make the case of working a 90-minute work session and then you rest deeply, your output will skyrocket. As the day progresses, it becomes increasingly harder to focus. So you need to rest effectively in order to sustain focus later in the day. And there's two protocols that really work best. One is an app. 22 minutes is the ideal length. We won't go into the research, but just try to do it for 20 minutes. And non-sleep deep rest protocols, which is in essence breath work protocols or stretching protocols that help the brain lower the brain waves, start the healing response, and give yourself the ability to replenish your focus muscle. The idea is that not only you need to work hard during those 90-minute work sessions, but also rest harder in between those sessions. And that is one of the key differences between average and elite performers. It's not how hard they work, but how deeply they rest. And then your day, in essence, ends up looking like this if you truly want to operate at peak performance. You have a 90-minute work session, and then you have a 30-minute rest and recovery session. And you cycle through it during the day. I tend to do 2 ring fence sessions in the morning and 3 ring fence sessions in the evening every time I work. This will make you wildly productive if you truly implement it. And this is, on the left side, you can see how low performers do not honor their natural biorhythms. So they're never really fully % on or fully % off. They might be working a little bit, then checking their phone, then not really resting, not really sleeping, not really going all in on the task, or not at all. Which means that the overall quality of the output is just like, 40, 50% performance, not really delivering great results, not really focusing deeply, not really resting deeply. But top performers on the other side, they are 100% on with breaks or 100% off, which leads to increased productivity. Now you know that leverage is the number one thing you need to look into in order to work less but achieve more. We also discussed energy maximization protocol. How can you segment your day into 90-minute work blocks and then rest? But what about distractions? Got you covered. We are bombarded every day with new information that inspires new ideas and courses of action. You must have a reliable system of filtering those ideas and the habit of returning to them to evaluate their impact on your goals, to avoid getting distracted, right? Because if you don't do this, you will naturally gravitate toward paying attention to the wrong thing at the wrong time. You will get distracted and fall for shiny object syndrome, right? So my distraction prevention protocol is about categorizing those ideas as soon as they emerge without acting on them immediately. And the filtering questions are very simple. 1, is it relevant to your vision? 2, does it impact your current area of focus? Or do you have the resources to act on it? And based on these 3 simple questions, we end up having either a daily log of activities that need to be completed or performed during the same day, which are both urgent and important, that allow us to prevent small fires from becoming major meltdowns. So calls to be returned, tasks to be completed. And then if something is not immediately applicable, they go into the radar, which is a place to park and later process the ideas, tasks, and projects that come into your field of attention but aren't immediately actionable. Using a radar prevents you from being pulled in many different directions and ensures you complete your projects you've got on right now. So this protocol is very, very simple. Every time there's an incoming request, you ask yourself, is this relevant for my long-term vision? If the answer is no, you delete it. You don't pay attention to it. You let it go. It is not relevant. It might be relevant to your long-term focus and vision. Then you ask yourself, does it impact your current area of focus right now? If it does, do you have time or resources to act now? If you do, can it be delegated? And if you can get delegated, you get it done by someone else. But if it does not impact your current area of focus, if it does impact, but you don't have time or resources to act now, and if it cannot be delegated, what you do is, instead of getting distracted, you place it either on the parking lot or on the radar. Parking lot is, remember, those tasks that are immediately applicable within the day. So they tend to be emails to be replied to, calls to be done, or maybe even running errands at the end of the day. And radar is the things that are not immediately applicable, but may have a positive impact in your business going forward. An example of parking lot would be reply to Jamie's email, for instance. And an example of a radar task might be revamp your sales process, for instance. And this is how you prevent distractions from getting the best of you when you're really focused. Now, what about email? Because email is both a blessing and a curse. No other channel is more effective than email, but it is very easy to mismanage. And that is because the brain finds it easier to indulge in the instant gratification of checking email than to engage in long periods of focus. It makes you feel productive, but it is not productive at all. In fact, there's research that says that the average worker spends 5 hours a day on email and checks it every 6 minutes, compromising their ability to do focus. We also know that it takes about 23 minutes to refocus after you've been distracted, which means that those average performers that spend so much time checking email every 6 minutes, they never really access a deep state of flow. Now, how do elite performers do this? Well, there's two main strategies across all of our portfolio founders that we've been helping over the years, right? One is having 1 or 2 short time boxes in the day to check email, and no email gets replied to outside of those times, or hiring a personal assistant who manages all the scheduling emails and filters the essential emails. Now, something very important to be said here is to not reply straight away. Remember, if you received an email, you need to think of it as someone else's to-do list jumping on yours, right? So the most important thing is that you do not react. You work through email at a specific times during the day so that you don't get distracted. And even if not answering may seem counterproductive to your professional advancement, it is not, because over time you will receive fewer emails because people will not expect you to answer everything, but also people will understand you're busy and respect you more. So this is what happens normally, what you should be doing when you get an email. First, ask yourself, does the email require your attention? If the answer is yes, you ask yourself, is it relevant today? If the answer is still yes, you ask yourself, can you manage successfully within 2 minutes? If the answer is still yes, then you process it. But if it's not relevant today, you defer it until it is relevant. If you cannot manage it within 2 minutes, you leave it in the inbox until you can process it. And if it does not require your attention now, and it could never be useful, like whatever promotion email, you delete it or unsubscribe. And if it maybe is useful or is absolutely useful, then you archive it, and at some point you will process it. So this is how you manage email within 1 or 2 time boxes during the day. You do not reply an email straight away. You give yourself time to work on the highly important, and then at the end of the day or in the middle of the day, you reply. And finally, procrastination removal protocol. So what is procrastination? Procrastination is a needless involuntary delay from an intended action, even when you know you could act on it. And it is a natural biological phenomenon. In fact, it's a gap between intention, emotion, and action areas of the brain. Specifically, the amygdala, which is involved in emotions and motivation, the dorsal cingulate cortex, which decides, in essence, which actions the body needs to take, is related to behavior, and also prefrontal cortex, which is the rational side of the brain that partakes in executive action and control. So when there's a mismatch between these 3 areas, you procrastinate on something. And the underlying emotion is anxiety. the procrastination cycle goes like this. First, you're given something to do. Then the brain assesses if the task will have a negative effect or not. And if it does not think it will have a positive effect, so you may not be as skilled as you think, or you're not willing to face the fact that the result is not going to be good, you'll start having anxiety brewing in the background. And at some point that becomes out of control, and you subconsciously end up becoming afraid of the negative results, and you never quite stop. And we have here brain scans to the right, that proves that higher trait anxiety was correlated to procrastinating behavior. So how do you destroy procrastination at the root? Well, there's in essence 4 things to do in order to move as fast as possible from procrastinator to executor. One is set clear micro target. Things are clear, specific, measurable micro targets that remove the need for the brain to use resources to wonder why, how, and what to do, right? Very simple. You ask yourself, what specifically are you trying to achieve right now? What steps are involved in achieving this thing? Be specific. The more specific you are, the better, because you remove unclarity. And then just start. Go with the first step. Then step 2 is just execute before you think. Get into the habit of going for it without doubting yourself. Eliminate friction to complete work more rapidly. If you dread writing, start writing fast. If you dread cold showers, just get in there. Don't overthink it. Something you can also do is use visualization strategy, which is very popular in the sports psychology world, which is in essence, you visualize your wish future and then reverse engineer the steps you need to take to understand how the work in front of you fits with your destination. So if you know for a fact that you have to, launch a marketing campaign, and you're procrastinating on the specific campaign brief you need to write, visualizing a successful marketing campaign will help you move forward closer to finishing the report. And also avoid procrastination. So procrastination is in essence when the brain forces you to do low quality reactive work that adds little value but drive dopamine hits and feelings of satisfaction upon completion, even if it doesn't help you get to your goals. So, the prototypical tidying up your room, tidying up your desk, sending a couple of emails, things that don't really add value but signal that you are doing progress, even if it's very, very shallow or uneventful. So this is the procrastination removal protocol. And finally, daily improvement protocol. So this is also very important, because if you make the case of ending every day park on a downhill slope, you will move from being an average performer to an elite performer in no time, because it will allow you to start your next day in a much more efficient manner. In fact, you can pretty much guarantee that next day will be a success if at the end of the previous day, you review everything that happened in your day to extract valuable lessons. And you ask yourself, what happened? So you do some free flow writing. What did you specifically learn, and how to improve tomorrow? Now, this goes beyond just plan tomorrow today. We're looking for performance optimization. We're looking to understand how does our emotional level that day, how have we felt, and how has that correlated with the productivity during the day? What specific nutrition did we have that may have affected our energy level? How many meetings did we have that ended up affecting our mood? All of this is small little things that most people never really look into, drive humongous results down the line, right? So what happened? Free flow writing, rush as much as you can. What did you learn about everything, about your work, your nutrition, your relationships, whatever you feel it has affected your performance, and how to specifically improve tomorrow. And then you plan the following day, right? You have clarity on the objectives for the next day. You plan your ring-fence sessions on the calendar, and you assign every work session to each task. If you do this, your life will never be the same. I can guarantee it, because we give our clients a tool and an actual template so they can do this every day, right? And if they're asking themselves what happened, and they look into, as I said, journal their emotions, how they work, how their nutrition, their energy levels, their mood, and everything, they truly think about what they have learned during the day, and finally, how can they improve the following day? That is a never-ending improvement protocol that will make you at least 1% better every single day with actual data, with actual log of results. And these are the 5 simple protocols to triple your productivity overnight. It's about mastering leverage, maximizing your energy, removing distractions, removing procrastination, and becoming 1% better every day. Now, keep in mind, these are tactical measures, things that are gonna start working today. But if you truly want to sustain this in the long run, if you want to induce a permanent transformation in your identity and learn the most advanced performance techniques there are, you need to look into 7 core verticals. What we call first, spiritual performance, which has to do with unlocking a sense of purpose and eliminating fears, anxiety, and self-doubt at the root. You also need to look into mental performance, right? Unlocking a growth mindset, eliminating self-sabotage at the root, mastering self-efficacy and self-belief, so your ability to think, to believe in what you do, but also believe in your ability to pull things off, and also meditation, visualization, and mastering your mind like elite athletes. Then once you have a sense of purpose and you have a strong mind that believes in itself and is resilient, then you must make sure that your nervous system is not fried by too many dopamine hits or suboptimal health routines. The sooner you master stress management and become burnout proof, the higher your performance you'll be. Then if your spiritual performance is on point, if your mind is strong, if your nervous system is also strong, then in order to truly sustain peak performance, you need to master your strategic performance, having a strong vision and core values for your life, and having strategic systems that align purpose, long-term objectives, and short-term goals for maximum effectiveness. Once you have the strategy clear, next step is executive performance, which is where these 5 protocols fit in. It's about eliminating overwhelm, becoming allergic to distractions, and prioritizing, planning, and executing under pressure. After this, the only thing that's missing is peak states, as accessing that non-ordinary state of consciousness called flow states that will make you 5 times more productive per unit of time. And you have to follow a specific protocol to make this happen. And finally, you will become absolutely unstoppable if you are able to gamify your workday and become 1% better every day with actual data, with KPIs that you can track. And what happens when you master these 7 core verticals, right? It takes about 8 weeks with our help instead of 10 years otherwise. Well, your results explode. Your mental, your physical, your business, spiritual life, everything changes because you are operating close to 100% potential every single day. And you have the actual data to know how to course correct every single day. Most people never look for feedback, or they get feedback 3 or 4 times a year. You are going to give yourself feedback through a specific tools designed for that we're going to be giving you every single day. So how do we achieve this transformation within just 8 weeks? Well, we have a science-trained, research-backed training, which is based on neuroscience, performance psychology, and behavioral science. We have a tool, data-driven performance optimization tool that our clients use to track their evolution. We also have group coaching and tight accountability to the goals that we set together. And we have an elite community of 6, 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs that are going through this journey and have scaled their businesses crazy fast. So this works if you want to have the full protocols, if you want to mastermind with these absolute legends, if you want to, crush your life as fast as humanly possible, join our community. We have been giving results to hundreds of entrepreneurs over the past 5-6 years. Things are just out of this world, like getting 10 times revenue, 12 times revenue, 4 times revenue just in 3 months by changing how the founder show up, works, prioritizes, access flow states, and tracks improvements over data. And it always happens. It doesn't really matter what industry, it doesn't really matter what business level, it doesn't really matter the years of experience. When you induce a transformation, everything changes for the better. So if you want to become an elite performer, if you want to get breakthrough results in 90 days or less and be coached by an elite team of PhD level people, this is for you. And we work with 6 and 7-figure entrepreneurs that are willing to build a new identity, eliminate self-doubt and self-sabotage at the root, become 5% more productive on average through flow states, mastering their ability to learn new skills through enhanced neuroplasticity. We're going to show you how to dial in your stress management protocol so neuroplasticity is enhanced, unlocking on-demand access to flow states, developing machine-like consistency and discipline, and mastering their nervous system and becoming burnout proof. If this is you, book a call with us now. You only need to click the button below to start your application for Selfmastered and schedule your founder clarity call with one of our enrollment advisors. We will make sure that we have an accurate assessment of where you are right now in your journey what bottlenecks are preventing you from moving forward faster, and how fast we can take you where you want to go. And if you book a call and show up, we will give you our absolute elite weapon, the Selfmastered dashboard, which is worth over $2,000, which is what we give our clients to track their results, to fully understand how much they're improving and how fast. If you book a call and show up, we will give you the dashboard. So, without further ado, see you on the call. The sooner we start working together, the faster your results in life and business will change. See you on the call.